videos. I was gonna say, I always thought not be carried around that.
We talked about this 2 years ago, how you guys are.
And that was- Good evening. I'd like to call to order the Village of Middleville Village Council meeting for June 9th, 2026. Rhonda, could I please have a roll call?
1 second. Kevin Smith,
Here.
Stephen Baldry.
Here.
Robert Bishop.
Here.
Patrick Hilton.
Here.
John Osterben.
Here.
Susan Shannon. Here. Sandra Wake. Here.
All right, and if you could all stand and join me for the pledge of allegiance. Pledge allegiance
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Right. Moving on to the approval of the current agenda, and just as a quick note, I don't see Doug in here, but we'll be adding Mackenzie and the DDA board to the next, it's already been added to the next.
Next agenda, yep.
So approval of the agenda as is?
I'll make a motion to approve the agenda.
Support.
We have a motion with support. All those in favor? Aye. All those opposed? Motion carries. Moving on to the consent agenda.
I'll make a motion to approve the consent agenda consisting of approval of the minutes for the regular council meeting of May 26, 2026, and approval of bills for June 4th, 2026 for $107,296.04.
Support.
We have a motion with support to approve the consent agenda as provided. Could I please have a roll call?
Patrick Hilton.
Aye.
Stephen Baldry.
Aye.
Susan Shannon. Aye. John Osterben.
Aye.
Sandra Wake. Aye. Robert Bishop.
Aye.
Kevin Smith.
Motion carries. All right, at this time, I'd like to open the floor for public comment. A limit of 3 minutes per speaker is in effect. Please state your name and direct your comments to the chair. The Village of Middleville Rules of Procedure prohibit the village council from debating or discussing issues of the public at this time. Hearing none. Moving on to Chief Richardson, Thornapple Township. Welcome.
Thank you. Thank you for having me tonight. Hopefully not go over anything that I went over last time. I'm only here quarterly. I wanted to just start off by saying that there's been some burning complaints. I know Craig and some other have had a lot of negative feedback from the fire station. I think we finally got that resolved, and I think in the planning process, we're going to try to put something in place. So this is the second time developers have not listened and continuously burn. So hopefully we can get that resolved, but it is resolved, and Scott will be going out there next time to take care of it, not me. But we made it very clear today that there is no open burning in the village. But just to give a snapshot of last month, we did 310 calls for service. We needed paid on-call members 44 of those times. Our out of shoot time is down to 33 seconds, so we're out the door within 33 seconds of the time of the call. Our average response time within Thornapple Township is 6 minutes and 55 seconds. And the national average goal is to be on scene within 8 minutes and 30 seconds. So we're more than meeting that goal. The majority of our calls are within the village limits, but we are still maintaining an average of 655 within the whole township. Out of area calls, 10 minutes and 44 seconds. We had 4 structure fires this month, 2 we were mutual aid to. We had 2 within our own area. 1 with us in the village. We were on scene within 5 minutes with 6 firefighters, and we had the fire out within 5 minutes. So within 10 minutes of the call, the fire was out. It was a deck fire that was impinging on the person's house. Secondary fire was on the very corner of our township, almost to Patterson Road and Bass, and we had Crews on scene within 10 minutes. Fire was out within 15 minutes completely out from time call. So crews are doing an amazing job. Our daily staffing during the week is 6 people, 6 firefighter paramedics. And just to kind of give a reflection, I've been the fire chief here since 2022. And I understand there was a little bit of a moment of pause when we heard that we were partnering with Caledonia. So I want to kind of give a kind of a brief look back and look forward to where we're at today. When I became the fire chief here in 2022, we had turned over 52 calls in our community. And we were only serving the village of Middleville, Thorn Apple Township, and Irving Township at the time. Last year, serving Yankee Springs, Rutland Township, Middleville, Thorn Apple Township, and Irving Township, we only turned over 14 calls. A lot of those calls are turned over because we were assisting other communities. We assisted 355 times to other communities. So we're helping out our neighbors more than we are requesting help. So this partnership with Caledonia gives us, and during the day, an extra 4 firefighters immediately. They have our tones for fires in their page group. So we get tones, they get the tones at the same time, and they're heading to our fires immediately. So that's one big plus. 2 is the revenues that's generated allows us to have more staffing. That staffing, there's a direct correlation to patient outcomes and fire outcomes. And it's proven in the last 2 fires that we've had. But in the last 2 years, since we've been having enough staffing, it's been proven to be successful. We just went to having 2 ambulances that are staffed with paramedic firefighters 24 hours a day, which was a change when we went to having Caledonia. The extra funding is going to allow for that. The other piece of this is up until this year, we were having to use quite a bit of our revenue that is in the EMS millage that's really designed for purchasing equipment. Cardiac monitors, $85,000, and ambulances, $325,000. That's kind of what it was really earmarked for. It was supposed to be, the EMS program was supposed to be kind of self-sufficient. And this is the first year since I've been here that we've been able to be self-sufficient for staffing through the fees we charge on ambulance transports. We average 1 call per ambulance every 8 hours. So it gives the opportunity, it gives an opportunity to have staffing in the station to deal with burning complaints, deal with medical emergencies and fires, and firefighting and high acuity ambulance calls like PI accidents where you have entrapment and stuff. They're high personnel usage. So we need to have 6 to 8 people. On our last 2 structure fires, we had 14 people. So not only the staffing that we had from the full-time people and part-time people we have on staff, it was also our paid on call members that came in. And we're trying to meet NFPA 1720. It's having 10 people on scene within 10 minutes. It shows the proves outcomes are much higher. And we've been able to meet that the last 2 fires. And it's proven that the outcomes are much better. So, so those are just a few look back, look forward. I know that it did cause a little bit of pause, like why would we be taking on yet another community, right? Obviously, the vast majority of calls, Thorn Apple Township and Caledonia run almost the exact same amount of calls. My hope is probably not in my tenure, but the merger of our 2 departments and having a fire authority would be what I would recommend. I don't think I'll be here to see that happen. And the last thing is we are working with ISO right now. I don't know if you remember that. It was prior to me coming. We ended up having a rating of 6. The lower the number, the better. Grand Rapids is a 1. We only had 1 in the state of Michigan. And so we're going to be out testing hydrants tomorrow with ISO. There's 11 hydrants that they've identified in the community. So we're going to be doing that. My hope is we get down to a 3 or 4. That should really see a significant drop in commercial occupancies for insurance. But you should also see, if we can get down to a 3 or 4, people's homeowners insurance, you should see somewhat of a decrease in rates. When I lived in Viridian Township, we did the same thing. We went from a 5 to a 3, and my homeowner's insurance dropped $100 a year. So it depends on obviously the insurance company. Some use regional ratings where they take geographic area and see what the fire losses are, and they make determinations by that, which isn't very fair, because if you're right next to a community and have a good fire department, you can throw your loss values off quite a bit. But I'm hopeful that with all the work that my staff has done, that we can see some significant decreases in our ISO rating. So I appreciate you giving me a time tonight. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you. Appreciate it. Okay, moving on. I'm sorry. A moment of pause there. Moving on to petitions and communications. Pete with Bradford White with the 2025 West Michigan Works Employer of the Year.
Thank you, and thanks for having us. Good evening, and I want to thank Senator Albert, there he is, and Manager Stoltenberg, the Village Council, and of course, West Michigan Works. Thank you for recognizing us for the 2025 West Michigan Works Employer of the Year. Bradford White Corporation is incredibly proud to be named in the West Michigan Works Employer of the Year for 2025. We view it as a testament to what we work towards and what we stand for every day, mainly that investing in people and our community is at the heart of who we are as an organization. I want to make a special call out to Kate Baumgartner, right there, and another HR leader that we have named Kelly Kroll, who unfortunately couldn't be here tonight. She's participating in our Women's Network, a Bradford White Women's Network event that we have tonight. But those two really did the lion's share of the work, partnering around workforce development, skills development, all the things that we need to do both as an employer as also for our community. Our core values, 4 core values for Bradford White, some of you have heard me say these in the past: customer, team, innovation, and community. This guides our decisions every day that we make. Those values align perfectly with the mission that West Michigan Works and all of you champion every single day. These shared values enable us to strengthen our workforce, grow our talent within the village and within the region, and as well as create opportunities for individuals looking to build successful long-term careers in manufacturing. Our partnership with all of you helped Bradford White create clearer training pathways, strengthen our onboarding, upskill our employees, and support programs that make meaningful impacts not just to our company, but throughout the region and the entire state. For us, the workforce development isn't just a plan or initiative, it's a mandate and a responsibility. We take it incredibly seriously. Our collaboration with everyone in this room helps us live that every single day, and thank you. I want to thank you for your continued support. I also want to recognize the incredible employees at Bradford White whose hard work makes honors like this possible. We are truly built to be the best, our tagline, and partnerships like the ones we share across the room make the industry and the workforce better every single day. Thank you very much.
Well, good evening. I'm Senator Albert. Thanks for having me today. It's a pleasure to be here, and it's an honor to present Bradford White with the legislative tribute here. Congratulations on your selection for the 2025 Employer of the Year Award by West Michigan Works. This is a distinguished honor, and it is well-deserved. West Michigan Works, the West Michigan Works Award recognizes the company with outstanding leadership in workforce development, commitment to U.S. manufacturing, and longstanding investment in West Michigan's workforce talent development. Bradford White is committed to strengthening talent pipelines, supporting career pathways, and engaging in programs that connect job seekers with meaningful long-term opportunities. I've had the privilege to tour Bradford White numerous times now, and I've met with their representatives, and I'm always impressed with their commitment to the community and to providing opportunities for team members and their families, sometimes in very innovative ways. Probably many of you already know all of these facts, but they're worth repeating. Bradford White is a leading manufacturer of water heaters and storage tanks based right here in Berry County. Overall, the corporation has made millions of products installed for millions of customers all over the world. With about 1,600 employees in Middleville, it is Berry County's largest employer. Bradford White has been in business since 1881. To give some perspective, Michigan has been a state since 1837. And I noticed on your beautiful wall there, I didn't know Middleville was even older than the state of Michigan. So you learn something new every day. So all of Bradford White's manufacturing facilities are based in the United States. I know that's important for the company. It's important to me. While competitors move production out of the United States, Bradford White has invested in communities right here. Developing the workforce and investing in our economic future is a shared responsibility. This recognition from West Michigan Works is another indicator that Bradford White is a willing partner in the effort to provide great opportunities here in Michigan. So here's a legislative tribute. Thank you for all that you do, and congratulations.
All right. I'd like to stay there.
Thank you.
Have a good evening.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thanks for sharing that with
Thank
us.
you. Thanks, everyone.
Gone are the days of the long, huge cameras, right? Like.
Thank you.
Pete, thank you so much.
Thanks so much.
Appreciate you so much.
Thank you. Thanks. Good seeing you.
All right, moving on to the Lions Club Independence Day fireworks. Mr. Beck, welcome.
Hello, council. I'm Andrew Beck. I'm with Middleville Lions Club, and tonight we're just going over 4th of July. We turn in some permits, liabilities through the fireworks company that we use. They should have all of that, their insurance, their policies. It'll look just similar as last year. We secured a band today, so they will play from 6 till about 9:30 and around 10 o'clock fireworks. Before fireworks, there will be activities, free activities for the community. Laser tag, archery tag, axe throwing, and a foam bubble pit. Pretty excited to see that one. We'll have beach balls again, and I'm being told that a local church is planning on cooking about 1,200 hot dogs and handing them out free. So we encourage all communities to come and join us. We're a very welcoming community. That's pretty much it. The paperwork there should be in your files. The important part of what we're going to talk about tonight, that the liabilities are all covered.
Is there anything special we need to do for the fire department? Are they just make notice that they're shooting fireworks on?
No,
We usually have a brush truck and their other ECP out
Okay.
there.
As part of this, so this form is different than our regular event form. We changed this last year on the advice of our attorney to use the state's form. So it doesn't show you that I already let the DPW and Chief Richardson and Sergeant Ware know what's going on. But I do have their comments, they're good. And the same, we have not been necessarily putting the insurance always in these packets either, but we do have the insurance.
Okay.
So it's just, we use the state form. So you guys are basically only approving the fireworks itself.
That answers all my questions.
It's a great event. It's so good to do that.
Yeah, there's,
Phenomenally every year.
well, thank you. Thank you. We tried hard to, most importantly, keep it free. We want it to be an event that's free for the community. I know that we've had talks about handing it over to the village. I'll be meeting with Mr. Powers tomorrow morning at about 9:30 to start kind of discussing what that looks like over the next couple of years and slowly making that transition. And as I promised when we first started having these talks, I come with it. I will not leave it behind. I will not walk away. We'll make sure that there's a smooth transition, a healthy transition. All the commitments as far as finances, everybody's still on board. Everybody wants to still be part of it moving forward. So it's really good news is what it is. So that's because of people like, it's because of our council supporting it, it's because of our township supporting it. Obviously, our police and our fire is always there and supporting of it. This is highly supported by all people and entities, and it's just beautiful, it really is.
Motion to approve the application for fireworks.
Support.
Any further discussion regarding that? I will say that before this particular event, I remember having a hot dog eating contest in downtown Middleville. It was the only event on 4th of July, by the way. The following year, it was a pizza eating contest. So those were the first two in recent memory, any activities that were going on, and we did not have fireworks. But since the advent of this event, I'm just so proud to be part of a community that's standing behind it, and it gets better every year, for sure. So I love it. Any other further discussion, questions, concerns? All right, all those in favor? Aye. All those opposed? Motion carries. Thank you, Mr. Beck. Appreciate it. All right, moving on to ordinances and resolutions, which there are none, thankfully. Moving on to council and staff reports.
Good evening, council. Just before I get into my report, it was pretty cool seeing West Michigan Works representing Bradford White as the employer of the year. Most of you know I worked for West Michigan Works for 6 years and really enjoyed that. And that's what usually, that kind of fuels my passion for training with staff and myself and, everybody getting better, everybody, taking as much training as possible because it's very, very important. So, got my report. The only thing, a couple things I'll add to it. The Thursday Music Series was a huge success last week. There were over 100 people. Everybody that works within this office, with the exception of Sergeant Ware, he might have been there too, I don't know, but was there watching the music. So it was really very cool. A lot of families, a lot of kids running around. Music was good, so it was really neat. So for the first night, first Thursday, it turned out really well. Community exchange, we have a date. We're going to host Sparta on August 6th, which is a Thursday. Correct?
Yes.
Okay. And as you see in the community exchange portion of my report, we're going to drive up to Sparta on Monday the 20th. So if you're available, interested in doing that, let us know, and we'll add you to the list of attendees for either of those sessions. And then John already indicated he's interested in going up to the convention, Grand Traverse Resort. We usually budget 2 council members, so, but whatever council wants to do with that, if there's interest, let me know, and we'll bring it to you all for approval on that. So. Anything else? Any questions?
I do want to just touch on the One Middleville discussion because that conversation expanded dramatically in the last week. So,
yes.
Travis, who was here tonight regarding the TIF, is doubling down with us to bring everyone together, school, all the departments, the DDA, community leaders, Bradford White. We're hoping Bradford White will be there, Thornapple Township, emergency services. All of us are going to be sitting together to have a conversation about how we can just be better together and have open dialogue with each other and try to figure out how we can all aim at the same target. I mean, the fire department, just from your report tonight, it's inspiring. In the 4 years that you've been here and how many changes that we've undergone and all the improvements, how do we help partner with you in that? And how do we have the conversation with the township or Bradford White or whomever to just aim at the same target, because I feel like once we can get momentum and moving in that direction, at least we can sit down and have real conversations and solve real problems together. So that one Middleville discussion on the 21st is huge, and I'm really encouraging each of you to be there.
And we did secure the site at the training center for Bradford White, so that's where we're gonna be. So we're gonna have a joint meeting with planning commission first at 5:30, and then we're gonna have the one Middleville discussion after that. Council originally approved the contract with SME for strategic planning, but it's kind of morphed into this one Middleville discussion instead. So with that, I'll bring, at some point, we'll figure out a time to put on the agenda, a refresher of what previous strategic plannings for just, village organization look like, to make sure that, this council is still on board with those priorities before we move, into the total discussion. So.
And I think maybe it would be helpful if we had like a format of like what we could expect in terms of that conversation. So the sooner we get that, the better.
Yeah, we're gonna have it. Yeah, pretty soon. You're gonna have a invitation and then kind of a survey follow up with that too at some point. So
Nice.
Good.
Perfect.
Any other questions?
That'll do.
Right,
Thank you, sir. Appreciate it. Sergeant Ware, welcome.
Good evening, everybody. Any questions on the numbers? Alright. So for May, a couple things to talk about. Our prescription take back box in the front office there, it's being utilized. It's been a great resource for the community. Biggest thing is, as I go through that every couple weeks or so, starting to see things in there that you can't put in there. There's a sticker on the front that talks about what can and can't go in there. So if you're gonna bring things in, please look at that. Also, if possible, take your prescriptions, take them out of the bottles or containers and put them in a Ziploc baggie. It saves us space, which is easier to dispose of. And it also protects your privacy, because now your labels aren't there, which I have yet to have something get loose, but you never know. So just for your own peace of mind, if you could try to put them in those Ziploc bags, it's a lot easier. School traffic update. Mr. President, Mr. Manager, and myself met with TK administration to go over the issues with McFall Elementary. I think we have a great plan moving forward, where we'll be moving, the school, I should say, will be moving the buses to come in and off Main Street. All parent pickup drop off will come off First Street. I think it will solve the issue. Question is, can they get the project done before fall? And the answer is probably no. So we'll probably have one more year of headaches with traffic. We'll get through it. We've gotten through it for the last 20 plus years. So we'll get through it for more year, and hopefully we'll get that problem fixed for the 2027, 2028 school year. ORV enforcement, our ticket books have been updated. So we now have the current ordinance numbers. We had the old numbers in there from before we got rid of the ordinance. So we had just those numbers. They're similar, but they were just different enough where we had to adjust that. So that's in place now. The deputies have stopped 2 or 3 ORVs since the ordinance went into place. And for all those, the only issue was they didn't have their ORV sticker. So they were educated, told to bring them home. And we have yet to see those ORVs come back out once they're educated. So the education process is working. Clock cameras, it's a big topic in the news lately. We're at 1 year of having them here in the village. I can tell you that they have been a very good tool for us. The whole public perception that they're tracking people, that they're doing facial recognition is completely false. There is nothing in those cameras that do that. Can they track vehicles? Absolutely. They do fingerprint a vehicle by the license plate. They can also track a vehicle based on make, shape, color. That doesn't mean though, if I have a white Toyota Camry, that's gonna track me as a white Toyota Camry the whole time. They're not, they're cameras with computers built into them. Sometimes it'll say the color's silver. Sometimes it'll say the color's blue or yellow. Just depends on how the sunlight hits it. So do they track cars based on their color, their shape? Absolutely. But the license plate is what they're meant to do. They capture the license plate. To give you kind of some ideas of what we're at, in the last 30 days, That's all I'm allowed to look at is 30 days. In the last 30 days, there was 97 hot list hits. That means that another agency put a plate in their system that they're looking for. Could be a missing person, could be a wanted subject, could be a stolen car, could be a stolen license plate. They put that vehicle in their system. 97 times, a license plate hit off our cameras going through our town. So our cameras are helping other agencies track these vehicles, track these people that they're looking for. And there has to be an actual purpose for it. I can't just say, I want to track Susie over here because I just want to know where she's going. I have to have a legitimate legal reason to try to look for somebody. Total volume that we've had in the last 30 days, we've had 2,303,606 vehicles or image captures. Now with that, it doesn't mean it's that many actual vehicles going through. What these cameras do is they'll take a picture of the car, they'll take a zoomed in picture of the license plate. That's 2 hits. The car's gonna possibly go through 2 or 3 cameras. You're gonna get repeat hits on the same car. You'll also get things where, I call them ghost images, where something might go by like a bird and it's taking a picture because it's just tracking movement. And then it takes a picture. The program, the camera inside is designed to focus in on license plates, but it's not always capturing a license plate. So that number I don't like so much because it's not a true accurate number. What I like to know is the unique volume that we've had. In 30 days, we've had 133,859 vehicles. Unique vehicles, that's actual license plate. Unique license plates go past our 6 cameras. So that kind of gives you an idea of how much traffic is going through our town. I think the daily average is 85,000 captures, which would be probably a bigger number there than 2 million. So we have a significant volume of traffic going through here. Fridays being our highest traffic volume, Saturdays and Sundays being our lowest traffic volume, which just kind of lets us know that we're a commuter community where we have a lot of workers coming in and out of the community. So those numbers are just kind of nice to kind of give us an idea of what kind of people are coming and going. And if we're looking at, events coming up, how we want to promote things for the weekend, we're missing somewhere because our weekend traffic is significantly lower than our weekday traffic, so. And then I'll touch on one other thing. The ambulances, I'll tell you right now, I love having the additional ambulances. I think it was 2 weeks ago, the last week or 2 weeks ago, we had I would call it a very severe trauma that happened in the village here. And that law enforcement had to go to as well. It was a pretty bad one. At the same time, at one of the schools, we had a medical emergency going on. Prior to Mr. Richardson being here, we would have had one ambulance dealing with one issue, and we would have been waiting 15, 20 minutes or so for a second ambulance to even get in town. I was rolling on scene for the first one. I'm like, we're secure, we got everything good. I'm hearing sirens coming down the road. I'm thinking, somebody's coming to our scene, they don't need to be around their sirens. I almost got the radio, and I said, the ambulance going flying by, and realized that they're going on a second call. The additional ambulances are fantastic. So thank you, Chief Richardson, for all you've done, because it's helped us a lot too, so.
Nice.
That's what I got for you guys. Questions?
I just have a point on the flock cameras. I'm sorry, did I?
No, I was just scratching my head.
When we first implemented that, the Facebook thing exploded, Middleville Babel, the attack on like the Fourth Amendment rights and all that type of stuff. There's guys in, I didn't even know what Facebook was 2 years ago. That's how much I really cared about it. But now it's kind of pointing its finger at me. I'm getting more interested in it. We have this, figure out the right word to use, individual off the Berry County discussion. Every time there's a flock camera damage, that type of stuff, he thinks it's a big deal. And then about 80 people pile on and go, oh, yeah. How can we promote this information out to the public? How can the people of Millville know that we paid, what, $40,000 approximately for the flock system and know the benefit that we're getting out? What do we need to do to get this out there?
I can tell you what I tried. I tried going on one of those things and commenting, immediately got banned. So Don't try and comment.
Let it go.
We do put stuff out from time to time, Steve, you know, on our Facebook, and then we put it on the chatter and stuff like that, but unfortunately it gets drowned
No,
out by the
I'm not trying to,
negativity of.
you know, there's only so much you can do with a fool. And Dad always said, never debate an idiot. You gotta go down to their level. And at their level, they're better at it than you are. So you just don't go there. But somehow, we have to be able to get this out to our residents. We spent your money. Here was the benefit of it. And I hope the day will never come that your child's the reason for the Amber Alert. Your family members weren't involved in an armed robbery type of a thing. Somebody didn't steal your car, maybe go on and on and on. But somehow they've got to be able to see the benefit that this has done for us. Well, I'm not sure how we do that. That's why I'm throwing this out here.
It's kind of a tricky answer on that one. The hard part for us on our side of it is, one of the best uses we had for me personally, when Mid-Ville first started being built, I think the first building was, framed and the second building was starting to go up. We had, somebody come in there with a pickup truck, 2 different nights and steal a whole pickup truck, bed load of lumber the first night, bunch of tools the second night. Combination of their cameras being able to get a picture of what the vehicle looked like, and then Flock, we are able to locate that vehicle. It's an open case now, so I can only say so much about it, but we have criminal charges on the owner of that vehicle. So it's helped directly in the village. We've had vehicles stolen out of the village. We have one that was stolen that we tracked through Michigan, through Indiana into Illinois, through Flock, with using other agencies' cameras and stuff that we're willing to share. So it's directly benefited this community as well as the Berry County as a whole. There's been several times where we've helped, Hastings, and I'm trying to work with Hastings to get them on board to get Flock, because we've had their officers say, hey, can you look at your Flock and see this? Well, I don't just look at Middleville Flock. If I'm looking for something, and let's say they say, oh, we think it went down towards Battle Creek. Cool. We're gonna look Berry County. We're gonna look Michigan as a whole, and we're gonna see where that vehicle went. Sometimes it helps, sometimes it doesn't, but it never hurts to try, as long as we have a legitimate reason to look. Something as simple as somebody lost some keys the other day. They were over here by the band shell. Have it on our village cameras, have the vehicle, have the driver, have the passengers. Was able to use Flock to find the license plate, track the owners down, bring them their keys. Save them $200 on a brand new file and keys, and the piece of insurance that somebody doesn't have their keys later. It's helping this community. It's doing great things for this community. Everything from simple property stuff, always the big major scary stuff, to the missing person stuff. We have, I can't talk about that one, never mind. We got a trial coming up that Flock up this lot with too, but,
I just trying to figure out how to promote that beyond the 10, 12 people we have here.
Well, we're about to post an annual report, financial report. Can we post something like that also? I mean,
I'll probably let out my civil libertarian, in me, the idea of surveillance bothers people, and that's the reality, right? You can tell people all of the wonderful things, and they are all wonderful things, but surveillance bothers people, and you're not going to convince people that surveillance is a great thing if it bothers them, right?
They drove to Grand Rapids today, they got their picture taken 20 times at least, probably.
And that's part of, I think that's part of the problem, right? It isn't, and it's a much more philosophical problem than Middleville, right? But the idea of surveillance states across the world, those aren't always great things that happen when a population is under surveillance 24/7. I'm not saying that I disagree with Flock. I'm not saying I agree with Flock. I'm just saying there is a real selection of the public that I agree with, that surveillance isn't always a great thing. So I don't know if I would lump them into, moonbats because they don't agree with being surveilled as much as they just don't want to be surveilled. They don't want to be, their picture taken for, 35 times driving down M37. That's fine. That's their prerogative, that they should be able to have that opinion. But at the same time, it's great when it works. But I just had to say that.
All I know is I live here in Millville and it makes me safer here. I don't really care about the rest of the world. I'm interested in what keeps Steve Baldry safe and my neighbor, family, everything. I'll let that one die right there.
It's like hearing all the criticism of the police force, but who do you call when you need help? The police.
For sure.
I was actually just gonna say that same thing, so, Mr. Hill, you hit it on the head, there's a, I don't wanna say a lack of confidence in law enforcement as a whole, but unfortunately in this career, we're used to one bad apple spoils the whole bunch, which isn't really what happens, but that's the community's perspective on law enforcement. It's the same issue with when I leave my car running out back, people come ask me, I explain to them why, and they go, well, it makes all the sense in the world, we understand it, but people that walk by, they see judging, and they go, oh, this car's running still. They don't understand, they don't see it, it's the same thing with Flock. I'm sure his department sees the same thing. If they're taking a rig, whether it's an ambulance or one of the trucks to the grocery store so they can get food for their night crew, they leave the truck running. People see that and they go, well, that's a waste of taxpayers' dollars sitting that truck running. It's a waste of money until you realize that truck might not start the next time, because these things are hard to get going. For us, it's our computers and stuff. So there's reasons we do the things we do. And it's, the community needs to learn how to trust us, and unfortunately that's a hard thing for us to get.
Sure.
We try our best, and we're gonna continue to try our best. And we employ really good people, and the bad apples, when we find them, we get rid of them. And that's how, with the Flock stuff, it's all tracked. It's all audited by us. We can see what's going on. Unfortunately, yeah, it's a 30-day record. If I want to know what my guys did more than 30 days ago, I gotta find out before the 30-day hits.
Sure.
Because that's just how Flock system works. It's gone after 30 days. There's no records whatsoever. Now, we say that, and as we go like the whole, you can leave things on your phone, but it's always still there, right? We teach the kids, when you send something out on the internet, it's there forever, and every time you make a copy, there's another copy out there. Yeah, I'm sure there's some tech guru out there that find a way to get it.
Yeah.
But that's way above my head. It's way above any IT guy that I know. When you're talking hacker level stuff,
Yeah.
so.
And I can assure you that my opinion of being surveilled has nothing to do with law enforcement. I'm a huge proponent of law enforcement and back them. So, but I don't want anybody spying.
Is, that's a robust conversation, certainly a very interesting one, actually, of which there's no end to it. So, otherwise, it certainly was a tool in your tool belt, and that was what the intent was. And it certainly aligned us with a lot of other agencies to help us fight crime and keep Middleville safe, which is, especially when it's difficult to find people, this only helps the cause. So I think it was a great move on the village's part, and I certainly am thankful that you have it. And yes, there is a robust conversation around it that deserves time and attention, but probably not tonight.
Yeah.
Again, I think, Chief Richardson, you're bubbling up everywhere, and thankfully today's your day. I think just the collaboration and certainly the improvements that you made continue to impress everybody. So thank you again. And thank you. And anything else for you?
I have some questions.
Yeah, please.
The topic of Flock cameras. Can you remind me what the non-emergency number is for the police?
Yeah, it's 269-948-4800, and then that'll get you to an auto answer tree, and then you press 1, and that'll get you right to our dispatchers.
Okay,
Is
And
it
then-
on our website?
no.
They're probably the phone number for our offices. If you call our office and nobody answers, then you get the same kind of tree, and it'll tell you, press 2 to get to dispatchers, 3 to leave a message for whoever, and so forth, so.
Okay, and then, my other question is, I had, an incident where there was a lost dog that I called about.
Okay.
And I would like to know what the police need as a description of a lost animal in order to, because what I gave was apparently not good enough, and I felt like I gave a very adequate description of the dog. So what is it that is expected to identify a lost dog?
As in, like, you see a dog running at large, or you're looking for a dog?
I saw a dog running at large. I called turns out the non-emergency number. They asked where I was, I gave my address. They said, we don't show you at that address, we show you in the parking lot. And I was like, okay, yes, I'm technically across the road from that address in a parking lot. So I had my location. I described the dog as a small to medium-sized dog, brown to tan in color, looked like it to be a Shiba Inu. I was then said, that's not good enough, sir. Can you please describe the dog? And I said, the Doge dog. So I gave them a size, a color, a breed, and a famous dog that looks like it, and it wasn't good enough. So I need to know what else to give in this type of scenario.
That sounds like an issue with our dispatch center, which is separate from us. I can't tell you anything other than what you said sounds like enough for if I were to get that call to go look for the dog. I mean, that's pretty good description. So I
can say
don't
as
want
a
to answer that
citizen,
question.
I was very frustrated with, sir, that's not good enough. When I feel like that is a very acceptable, so if maybe that could be, I don't know, gone over with the dispatchers as to what a good description is of a dog, or, made note of somewhere, because what am I supposed to do when I call the police if that's the kind of attitude I'm getting from them? You know what I mean?
I don't want to step on anybody's toes because it's not my agency that does that. We use Berry County Central Dispatch. They're a county agency, but I can't answer to how they're trained and what they do. I can tell you from what you tell me if that'd be admin or that'd be equivalent for what I would need to respond to that, but without being there in person and reading the call, I couldn't tell you, but I would say if you're having issues like that, I would contact your supervisors there and see what they can do.
Okay. And who would that be? I don't know who the supervisor for the dispatchers would be.
Well, Katie Hall's the director there now. And I don't know, it would depend on when you call as to who the actual supervisor was on at the time.
Okay, thank you.
Anything else?
Thank you, sir. Thank you. Appreciate it. Liaison reports. Did you liaise?
I did. Sandy and I tried to liaise tonight. We went to the library committee meeting, but unbeknownst to us, it wasn't one. So, and then planning commission last week. What did we talk about? First of all, the company that is doing the survey for our master plan update, they published this. It's not, the survey's not all the way done yet, but this is what they've got so far. And it's very interesting what our community thinks about a lot of things we do.
We're gonna go over those results at our joint meeting with the planning commission.
Yeah, no, I just kind of tell everybody, it's interesting reading. So if they get a chance to get one of these.
Yep.
Or if you can email it to them or.
We'll have it ahead of time.
I would be, I mean, sooner than later, if you
Yep.
could send that out. That'd be interesting to see.
It was really interesting to me, like for the different ages of groups, population and that type of thing. And who they know and who they don't know. Other than that, trash receptacle pickup, trying to figure out the hours for that, for the ordinance. General consensus was to give them 24 hours. I think that's probably the answer. The question I had for JD, which he answered, was in case of bad snowplows, and he didn't think they'd be a problem. So that was about it. That was about the extent of our planning commission.
Steve,
Sorry about the library committee that we didn't go to.
It's all good.
Steve, did they tell you how many surveys have come in so far?
Yeah, I'd have to go back through this. There's like 8 pages of it. Yeah, there was like 65% or something like that off the top of my head.
Of the people
it's
that
over
received the
300.
survey?
No.
Roughly,
I think it's over 300.
Yeah.
It's actually
pretty good.
impressive.
Yeah.
Yeah, no,
Did they tell us?
we go to approximately 7% of Millville's 4,380 residents. So far, they've got 319 responses.
Yeah, that's
As of
actually
May 29.
Do they tell you how many surveys we need for it to be statistically accurate?
I don't know.
It's a good question.
But at any rate, I thought it was great information. Everybody should be aware of and read it. Other than that, that was the liaison.
The liaison.
The papers that had the little, that little thing that you take a picture of and.
QR code?
Yeah, that one. Did we put those out like banks and grocery
They
stores?
took them a lot of places, and it was in the paper and on our Facebook page and probably DDA Facebook page.
It was in the paper?
Yeah,
Oh,
it was in
yeah.
the paper.
Yeah, we had a bunch in our store and stuff.
That's how I took it.
Okay.
Yeah, the little quarter sheet ones went to a lot of different places, and yeah, the paper, the Facebook page, the website.
It got fixed then?
Hmm?
Did it get fixed then?
Yes,
Yeah.
Okay, because
Yep,
after they said it was fixed, I went to try and do it and it was not fixed.
Yep.
So,
yeah, it's fixed.
okay.
Mhm.
That was it for me. Moving on, John.
Any other liaison? Admittedly, I missed the DDA meeting, so I have nothing to report for that, but, I promise to try to not ever do that again. Late nights at work. So, one thing I do want to just bring up, since you, brought up garbage, Catherine came in here and spoke about, the county and how Kent, is it South Kent? The dump, basically on 100th Street. How we could just drop off our stuff, for recycling and things like that. And I had an old grill, I know this is like off the cuff, but I had an old grill that I was just gonna toss, and I took it out there, and because of that program, I was expecting to pay $15, which is typical, right? Free of charge because of that new relationship that we have. So, given the fact that she was liaising with us, I was actually firsthand, I benefited from that. So I thought that was kind of a neat, development and certainly unexpected. But they also do televisions and tires, and there's a whole section there now that's been built up to accommodate this new relationship that we have.
You just had to present your driver's license for proof of where you live.
Showed up and she said, thank you, pull in and have a great day.
It's great.
You can drop off motor oil at the Caledonia Tractor Supply.
There you go. You can buy dog food while you're there.
I know where the little tank is for them to do it.
That's actually helpful too. All right, moving on, there is no unfinished business. For new business, village staff wage scales.
Okay, so, you all were here when Mark Notley presented the updated, classification and compensation study. It's kind of done periodically. I know Sandy was in my office the other day asking, why we, hired that out as opposed to me doing it, or, things like that. I think it's something that I could potentially do it after I'm here 10 years or, longer in this seat kind of. But my thought process, and as with the new council at the time, was, look, it would look like I'm doing it for my own benefit or something like that if I did it on my own or something along those lines, rather than having a third party conduct the study and have it, done that way. It lends a little bit of credibility to it. So, depending on how, council wants to do it in the future, or, have me, take some data from the MML study that goes out every year. I can certainly do those things in the future too, but that was kind of the thought process beyond that, or behind that, so get into that. So, but the recommended scales are in front of you. I think at the very least, with the data that was provided, the scales are definitely warranted. And then if council chooses to approve the recommended wage adjustments that I have in here, I've got a significant, reading. If you had a chance to read through my report, on here for the justification of those. Happy to answer any questions in the meantime, on that.
Question? When we talked yesterday, you said that generally you give raises on the anniversary date of folks. If we were to approve this, the idea is to give the new wages July 1. How would that affect going forward? I think you said the clerk, her date is November.
Correct.
I mean, does she have to wait until November 27?
So I would do an evaluation in November and then, decide at that point if it's warranted another step at that point, or if we, do it, for the following year, things like that. But I would still do my annual evaluations for each staff member on their anniversary date. Warmar's, for example, is January or July 1, or July 5th, so I wouldn't, do anything different, that way, except for I would still do my annual evaluation with Ms. Gormar.
Do we generally give, with a new hire, do we give them like 90 days to prove themselves and then
Typically.
give them a raise?
Typically, that's how that works.
Okay,
Yeah.
because I did notice that.
Yeah, like, for example,
Like
Caitlin
Caitlin.
just started 3 months ago. We just completed an annual or 3-month evaluation for her. So we started her a little bit lower scale, with the expectation we do a evaluation of her and then, see where she's at and then move accordingly.
Do you ever look at the consumer price index? Cost of living?
Not necessarily. I mean, I definitely look at all those things, but we're, half of our staff, almost half of our staff is tied to a collective bargaining agreement. So then everything for the union members has a percentage increase no matter what. So what I do is, whatever that percent is, I use that to adjust the scale annually at that point, so.
The one thing that I noticed, I'm a big spreadsheet kind of person, and so I was doing some different calculations based on the report from 2023. And it looks like in 2022, everyone was in bad need of an adjustment.
Sure.
And it was huge. I mean, it was a big adjustment. And I think it's good to point out that since that time, we've actually raised wages almost 42% on that group of people that we're looking at now, when the consumer price index has gone up like maybe 14%, or just under 14%. For the most part, I don't see a huge problem other than a couple people getting less than the cost of living, which I think that's not really nice. I mean, effectively, they're getting a decrease in their wages if we do that. The finance director, previous to this proposed increase, that wage has been increased 63% already. And you're proposing another 15%, which is a lot of money. And I know we talked yesterday about some of the things that she's done that you think warrants an increase, a big increase.
Yeah, I can definitely go. When we, first hired Glorimar, we had a huge need. We interviewed several candidates for that finance director position, none of which fit the bill. including, most of them were asking for above and beyond what I'm even proposing, we give Gormar now, at that time. But started her out as an entry level, kind of a apprenticeship type of finance director, accountant. Worked directly with Peter, our outside accountant, for the past 3 years, and Kate, and took, several classes. It was really a structured kind of training to get her up to this point, and that's where she is at now. And that's why I'm recommending that there now.
The other thing, oh, sorry.
No, please, go ahead, ask.
I have a list. I know we talked when we first got the study, we're being compared to several cities and only one village, which is a concern. And I mean, I look out the window and we are no Rockford, and I'm not sure why.
I mean, I can't speak to, I know the question was asked when Mark was here. I can't speak to why he chose Rockford and, some of those other, Three Rivers and things like that, but obviously Wayland, very comparable in size and, number of residents and in total taxable value. Lowell, similar as well. In fact, Wayland and Lowell are probably lower than us now that with the recent taxable value adjustment that we received from our equalization director. We're actually closer to 200 million as opposed to 172, which is what it was in the report. But it's not too different when I sold real estate. You have to try to get the best house you can that's comparable. There's not one, there's not a same exact house out there that has 3 bedrooms, 1,500 square feet, 1 bathroom, but maybe there's a half bathroom out back and maybe a little shed or whatever. You have to try to make do with what you have. But I would say that we're closer to some of the cities than we are, a village of Woodland, Lake Odessa, Nashville, some of those other villages that are even within Berry County.
One of the things that I did when I was playing with the numbers is I did pull out DeWitt, Hastings, Rockford, and Three Rivers from the calculation. I only did it for the village manager and the finance director because I got tired of inputting numbers. But when I pulled those out, I mean, it did change things significantly, and I feel it's legitimate. And I worry about the sustainability of giving increases that large. And quite frankly, I believe in paying people a good fair wage. And I just want to make sure that what we're doing is paying a good fair wage. And I feel like the finance director is, I just have a problem with that number for sure. I just think it's $12,000 is a lot of money, and that's going to be compounded over many years. Has she gotten a degree then in finance?
She is working towards, she has, a bachelor's degree and not in finance, it's in law, but, beside the point, but, working toward, things like that, has her, 3-year certificate in the, Michigan Municipal Treasurers Association, things like of those, and continuing to take class after class after class. Worked hand in hand with Peter and Kate, throughout the past 3 years, as training for that position, so.
And I feel bad.
And has blossomed, to be quite honest, not any different than anybody else, anybody else in our organization, and our staff is simply, they're amazing. So.
Well, I feel like they really are, but
Yes.
I don't know either. I've been doing this for, almost 3 months now, so I'm obviously an expert, but.
You're better.
Yeah, right. But I guess I would prefer to, I don't know if this is the time to say it, but I would prefer to actually look at these numbers a little bit more in depth before we vote on it. This worries me.
When we were presented this information, I asked the question about it's great to say, here are a dozen people that do the same job, and here are their salaries. But an important part of that equation that I didn't see anywhere in there, and I thought that he may get back to us, which is time and position, right? If you have a role at whatever position you're at, and you're there for 10 years, I hope you make more than the person that's been there 3 years, right? And to just equate salary, start, middle, high on position without taking into context time and position is not the right way to do it. It's not the way any organization does it. And I don't think it's a fair way, or even to the people that we're judging based on numbers and position only, to not know they're being graded against or being compared to people that have been in the position a similar amount of time, right? Nobody, you would hope that people are getting increases in their wages as they're growing in that position 5-10 years down the road. And then for somebody 2 years in saying, hey, we've done this study, you should be making the same as or close to the person who's invested 10 years of their career into that role, is not a good way to measure what that position should be paid. And I do think we have to find a way to get that information as part of this overall calculus. Otherwise, we'll be doing this over and over and over again. If we had a huge correction in 22 and this is 26, I'm not a brilliant man, but we'll have a huge correction in 2030 at some point, because we'll be grading against people that we don't necessarily know how long they've been in position, what their credentials are for that position, what experience they brought into that position when they got hired. All of those things should be part of the equation. And it's really hard to just say position of like should be the same, because that's not how it works.
I will say this, I mean, it is very true, especially in the private sector, exactly what you say. He did not, I know for a fact he didn't use or ask those questions of, how long people have been in those positions and things like that as part of the study. The public sector is very competitive right now, I will say that. If I were to find another job somewhere else, it's not that you're gonna pay the person that takes my position less than what I'm making now. You're gonna probably have to pay them a lot more. The same as if Laura took another job somewhere else. We're gonna have to hire somebody for that position a lot more than what she's being paid currently right now.
And also, she's gonna use the years of experience here to get a much higher paying job someplace else. So we'll lose all of those years of experience in our system with our data. So there's something to be said for that too.
It's part of the calculus, I agree.
Yeah,
It should be part of the calculus.
Yeah, but what's the point of doing these calculations and hiring a study if we're just gonna then go, you know what? We'll do our own thing. So to me, we paid for this information. It's good information. I just don't see how teasing it apart with us I don't see us as the experts. We hired an expert. That's what we paid money for, is expertise. To then go in and say, well, I don't know, we shouldn't have hired that expert, then let's hire a different one next time.
I don't disagree with you, but I will say this, right? Let's say everybody plays the same game, right? Everybody does the same study, every village, every town, every township, whatever. And they all say, we gotta get everybody to the middle. So they get everybody in the middle and they run the study 4 years from now. Guess what happens? Everybody that was in the middle is now at the bottom. Because that's the way math works, right? So you can't constantly shoot for the middle, because every time that study's done again, the middle becomes the bottom.
This is not to point this out, but the middle moves too. So if you don't do the compensation study, what we have is, we have Glorimars and Rondas who are now at the bottom because the middle moved up.
I just wanna.
And these compensation studies do exactly that. They look at those things. They look at the way that the middle moves. They look at all of that stuff. We're not the experts here. I
think there's a few really important points. First of all, I truly believe the the spidey sense that you're getting with regard to the increases in the amount of money that in terms of the raises, is significant. And there's, and I'm gonna speak to that in a moment. On this side, 100% agree. There is a measure of meritorious raises based on how long you've been doing it, what have you accomplished. There are serious metrics when it comes to employee compensation, of which anyone who's led in any capacity will understand that there's going to be people that make 3% raises and there's going to be people that make 53% raises. And I think that the concept here is that those metrics seem and have been historically rather opaque because we lean on a particular study. We did pay for the study. I agree, much like many things like this, it's a tool in the toolbox, not a statement of fact. And I think that I'm going to make a couple of comments about Glorimar's performance. I was here and have been, ironically, I'm the most tenured member of this board, which is really a shame, but when I started on council in 2020, our accounting was a disaster. If there, as a matter of fact, Sue and I were just talking about what would happen, what's to prevent fraud or stealing or creating a vendor. I mean, we approve, I just wrote 30 checks today, maybe more.
I approved $107,000.
And so when you look at that, there's a check and balance here that sits here at this, on this board. But what there wasn't before was, there was no segmentation in our accounting platform when I started. Now, to prove Glorimar's efforts, those exist today. Those accounting, those near GAAP standards are put in place, which were not originally, and I'll be quite frank, needed to be. And that was, and she did a remarkable job of turning what I believe to be the single most important role in this village, and no disrespect to Craig, our financial management is the single most important thing in this village. And frankly, if they're being taken care of now, and we have a new payment system, there's horrendous efficiencies based on the 6 years that I've been here. There are huge efficiency gains with regard to how we manage reporting. The ability to convey data from our accounting system to this board has improved exponentially. Every single time I see a report from Glorimar, it is like, wow, it's like the first time I've ever seen this, and it usually is. So if you're talking about the why would somebody deserve to get a particular raise? I think what we're asking Craig is prove it, show the metrics, show why this raise is so significant, because the market is competitive is not a data point.
No, I know.
And I would say that what we really need to really focus on is when we do get studies like this, that number one, it's a tool in the toolbox. It speaks zero truth, by the way. And this report was so skewed that its incredulity was screaming at us during that call, simply because the metrics are all wrong. If I'm going to do a like-kind study and do a data set, sure, it's nice to see what they do in Rockford, but Rockford's worth almost 2.5 to 3 times more than what Middleville is. That's not even, the money management that happens in Rockford is not the same money management that occurs here in Middleville. The other point is there's an enormous data lake of information in like-kind villages across the state of Michigan, not what we got. And I can tell you from experience that the report that we are lauding or discussing is a templated report that had typos in it and was addressed to other municipalities in the writing of the report that was provided to us. So just to be clear, the level of effort that goes into that is in question. And it might have been only a typo, but in my position in any organization that is dealing with a lot of money, a typo means that there was a lack of attention paid to it. And it was only 1 or 2 spaces that were in there that addressed a different municipality in that report, but it existed. So, you know, the credibility of that report in my mind immediately was eroded. So I think baseline, if Glormar were to get a 40% raise, I would agree to it. If she made more money than Craig, I would agree to it because I've seen the work. She's data driven. She's got attention to detail. The reality is that she is, quite frankly, the heart and soul of how our precious tax dollars are managed. And I would reward that to the nth degree, period. End of story with regard to my opinion about Glormar. Seeing what I've seen in the last 6 years. So if you ever want to have an offline conversation about it, I'm happy to share those data points. I think, to Pat's point, that when you have a lack of information with regard to the accomplishments and the time in a particular position, I feel like it's kind of like a paint by numbers scenario without any numbers in it. You have all these paints, but you have no numbers to go by. So I would really encourage backing that. And I think in our future requests, when we are asking for a study, we should demand how long these people have been in their positions, because I feel like it's really, like when I go, and I know that if you want to compare private and public sector, since it's on the table, I would never be able to get a 40% raise with a study of my peers that make, in some cases, millions of dollars more a year than I do, and in some cases, hundreds of thousands of dollars less than I do. So the reality is that I would say, if we want to remain competitive as an entity to employ the right talent, I would agree that we have to tighten this particular process up. I think that this scale is only one aspect of a much broader set of tools that we need to really present and challenge you to present when asking for these sorts of things. So, and I don't want to speak, I'm not speaking on behalf of anyone else here other than if I were to ask for this myself, those are the metrics that I would ask for. So we can do one of two things. We can certainly table this and have further discussion. We can work with Craig, and I highly encourage you, if you have questions, please work with Craig to ask him for the data points and the things that you would be interested in, because I think that you have a wealth of information that available at you, especially that, what is that thing, that bulletin board thing that you go on? Like, that's magic, and I saw answers come across.
Listserv?
Yes, that listserv.
Well, that's kind of why I listed out, the ones that I was specifically talking about in the agenda report.
Yeah. But I think that we could tighten up the data and where it's coming from. I think it would be more palatable.
So you want me to reach out to all of the respondents and ask how long everybody was in their positions?
I think it would be a good starting point, but I would also say I would be really happy to see other more like-kind value, tax-based value and population size.
Why don't we just get a new study? Sounds like that's what we need. We need different cities. We need to know more information. So the information that we've got is no good. Kevin said we've got
I didn't say,
typos.
first of all, I will not have words put in my mouth.
What
I will say
we've got
is,
typos in the existing report
What I
that
will
he
say
says
is-
makes it questionable.
please, point of order. A, I will not have words put in my mouth. Number two, I want to make it very clear, the study needs to be refined and improved. And by the way, we accepted the report, but I'm sure if we go back to the well, I'm sure he would be happy to adjust it if he plans on doing it again in the future. So one way or another, I think it's important that the data that we have gets refined and improved, and we certainly address the issues that we have with the current report and find a path to correct them.
Can you give me the specific,
I think tenure is an important metric. I think like-kind tax base and population, be it village or city, I think we should have a greater number of those.
I mean, really, I mean, Sparta is the most comparable to Middleville in the whole entire state. We're the two largest villages in the state. You know, creeping up on 5,000 residents. Most other villages are, you know, closer to, 2,000-3,000 and then below. So you're not gonna find another, I mean, you could, maybe, but, probably not another, like, village other than Sparta.
Again, I don't know if it's village, I don't know, necessarily think that, I think a city is fine too. I think I said tax base and population, I think are really a level of effort very similar. I don't necessarily think that the moniker of village versus city is.
I suppose, yeah, I think it only affects you, right, Maria? Yeah. The one thing that I thought was kind of amusing is on their appendix, they actually left off the village of Sparta on our copies. And yeah, I thought that was.
I think it was because the manager salary skewed it too much.
Yeah.
The manager in Sparta is making significant more than anybody else.
Did most
It would have skewed the data even more, but he's been at it for a while as well.
Well,
He was hired about the
state
same
rep,
time.
right?
Really?
Yeah.
My conversation, thinking about this, is that he also made a comment that these were just ranges for us to work with, that they were ranges to work with to give us an idea of where we're at compared to other places. I agree with everybody, there should be some more matrix added to it, but it's not like, I took the understanding, didn't mean we have to. We can't add to the one, this is a range, because we had nothing in place before. We had no way of saying, okay, we want to hire a new finance director. She moves out of state or whatever. You don't have a range. All we have is.
Well, we have that now, right? We got that in 2023. We got the range set.
Right, and that's what, that was part of the asking to update the ranges, make sure they were, similar to.
Yeah.
In line with, with current.
The one thing that this report doesn't show is the amount of time the individual puts in on her job beyond office hours, that type of thing, the growth that she has done in her job, and the fact that she has value to our village. If she left and we got somebody new, it would immediately tank in the wrong direction. So we have to look at what the value of that is too.
Yeah, I think, whenever you're having a conversation like this, it always sounds like you don't value individuals, right? But it's an important part of the conversation is to have these kinds of conversations, and it's never about an individual. It's never about the person, whether they're doing a fantastic job or not a great job. But there has to be a structure in place, because I think if we don't learn anything else, between 2023 and 2026, the whole thing got blown up. So we've got to build something, have some kind of a framework, some guardrails that keep us from going way off the rails again in 3 years and having a discussion again about how do we do this? And it's a much larger conversation to have about like this role as with this much experience should pay X. And then when you hit this amount of experience or you hit this amount of training or then this happens to your wage. Like that's the way these things need to be structured. That takes a lot more time than what we have right here and during this conversation. But for us to just blanketly try to fix something is not fixing something, right? You're going
But
to.
Did we try to take everyone to the middle of the road? I mean, I think that
That's not my
Greg
goal.
probably
That's
went
not-
through it and knew what everyone's longevity was and probably based it on that.
Yeah, and I think that's probably part of
That's
what,
part of Craig's.
you know, if you add more context to it, because unfortunately, I don't know how long anybody's been in their role and where that compares to anybody else, right? I don't have
Is
any of
that
those
what this
data
one
points.
page was? We had different columns, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
That was just the scales where I was recommending. So, I mean, I was gonna say something, I can't remember what it was. I'll think about it in a second.
There's a lot to unpack here.
Yeah.
I think the reality is if we want to table this, and then I would encourage anybody that has ideas or questions or concerns to direct them to Craig so that he can digest it. Certainly is worth another conversation, and maybe he could supply us with a template of how he plans on leveraging not only the report, but also creating some additional.
Yeah, that was the spreadsheet I did have in there for you guys for that. And then the rationale for the ones that were, I was recommending the more significant ones. I know what I was gonna say is when it was recommended, for the finance director specifically 3 years ago, I actually set Gormar lower than what was.
She was on the minimum, actually.
Exactly. Recommended, so she could grow up to, a different level, a higher level. So that was why, that there's such a significant jump now is because we started her out so much lower than what was even recommended because she didn't have the education at the time. And she didn't have the experience that is needed to do the phenomenal job that she's doing now. Same with Rhonda was a brand new clerk. Same with, Kim was brand new in her role, same as, I do those on an individual basis and I have, evaluations for everybody, annual evaluations for everybody in this organization. And I base those adjustments on those.
I also want to just amend all of this by saying, we also have to trust Craig and his better judgment to make the right decision on our behalf. He is the expert here, not us. And I think, to Mr. Bishop's point, we aren't the experts. You're in the trenches every single day with the staff. And I believe that, we do have to trust that he's going to take this information and do the right thing. But I also think it would be nice to scratch the itch of how are you coming to these conclusions and where is this, how do you coalesce around, I'm going to give a 30% raise or a 15% raise or a 12% raise or whatever. I think it's important to show your work in that regard. So I think that.
Which I attempted to do, and that there's more to be done. I'd like to know specifically what more you're looking for.
Of course. And I think that's, again, the data we got with tenure. I think the proof is in the pudding. What are the changes that have occurred in the past? And then again, whatever input the rest of the board would have if they want to email you and ask those additional questions.
Maybe just drop some of those ones that are not on par with the village. And you're right, it doesn't matter if they're a village or not, it could be anybody comparable to us.
Yeah, I would
But
say.
then what do? Is Detroit gonna be paid differently than it is out here? You can't compare people up in the UP, well, there's nobody this side of the UP. Well, a couple.
I think there's plenty of cities, villages, and towns that are similar or potentially similar to us south of Mount Pleasant. I mean, unless I'm completely off of my rocker, but I'm just saying,
So if we've
it
got
might
the
be,
data-
it might be useful to look at those. And again, question the results that we got a little bit more critically in regard to why would you include a Hastings or a Rockford at 4 times our value when we're trying to do a like-kind study so that we can be on par with the rest of the.
It's just to answer the Hastings question. Hastings is a direct competitor of us, and that's why they were included. They're right down the road and.
So the
That's
results
true.
are
That's another-
inclusive of our potential competitors who would cherry pick people.
That's
out.
part of it, yes, absolutely.
Steal our good people.
Do we want to, if we were to go ahead with this, the July date for everybody, rather than giving it to them on their anniversary? I think that's kind of I mean, what kind of precedent are we setting? Are we gonna give 2 raises a year, or, I mean, how?
I think the intent is just to give them on their anniversary, right?
No, it was
It
for
says
July 1.
July 1.
July 1 for this,
Everyone.
for what's on here. And then I would go through my normal evaluation.
Okay. I misunderstood. I thought it was just for Glorimar. And I thought it was her anniversary.
It is her anniversary.
Right, but then everybody else would be treated differently in that regard.
The last time that this was presented in the previous iteration of this study, what council chose to do was to take it the date that it was presented and then back pay, raises to January 1. I was proposing not doing that. I was proposing setting everybody at July 1 and then, work through.
Which is why the original time that we did this, it felt like we were giving like 3 raises in 1 year, because we did a cost of living, right? We did a salary adjustment, then they had an anniversary, and then there was another thing that we did because of cost of living or something, and like we gave like 3 raises in 1 year, which accounts for some of the dramatic increase.
Yeah.
They needed it,
Absolutely,
but
I'm sure.
I would, yeah, I mean, I think, and I'm just throwing this out there that I think it should be anniversary. Like everybody else, I don't get a middle of the year raise just because a study was done on chief information officers in Grand Rapids, and then all of a sudden I got a 40% raise because we weren't in the middle. I really truly believe that in the real world, it's hard enough to approve a raise, but to give 3 in 1 year and then to say, well, it's because we have a wage study. I just don't know if that.
But that's fine. I was trying to kind of split the baby compared to what we did the 3 years ago. So that was why I presented that option. Obviously the council can have, do what they choose. So, or what you choose. And then, one of the reasons, Sandy mentioned that, some of them were not as dramatic was because I do a good job evaluating positions, on an annual basis. And, we are really close in alignment with most of them because of that. And that's why there were only a few that were, out of alignment because, compared to everybody else, the way, things have gone up in the rest of the state, so.
I make a motion to table this until the next meeting.
Support.
The next meeting, I'm not gonna be here, so.
You don't want to use the word table for one, and he will not be here at the next meeting.
Okay, then the next available meeting.
Can you just general consensus that you get more information and it comes back to a future meeting? Can you do it that way versus a motion?
Yeah, you don't even need a motion.
Fair enough.
As long as everybody's in a general consensus.
If we're in consensus.
Okay.
Sure.
Okay, moving on to the packet, boards and commissions, draft minutes of the DDA meeting. I did not liaise, draft minutes for the planning commission. Informational items are in there as well. Public comment, which there doesn't appear to be any,
Well, wait.
unless any person attending may comment on any subject.
Okay,
Rhonda.
thanks. I just wanted, just one quick comment on Bradford White, just the support that they give here too by agreeing to have that meeting, those meetings coming up in July. They're also, as part of community exchange, we do a tour there. They've agreed to do an abbreviated tour instead of a 3-hour tour like Gilligan's Island. And we will also be, they're gonna coordinate a meeting lunch at that site. So just some helpful, how much they help us. Also, I was remiss a couple meetings ago that the TK alumni named Ms. Sandy Wake here, their distinguished alumni for this year.
Nice.
So, yeah.
All right, final, we are down to final council comment.
think I've said enough for tonight.
I appreciated the new flower pots, sidewalk. I did have a question though, it seemed like they were doing there, they sure that they make the sidewalks too narrow, but in some places, I don't know. Now,
I think we'll just,
JD, but.
we'll work through.
Hmm?
We'll work through the issues as we encounter them.
You,
Okay. I'd like to see each member of council put together, picking them 5 or 6 bullet points for our next TIF discussion, how we would like our outline to be, or both. Type of thing. Other than that, pretty much spoke my piece, I guess.
Mr. Holden.
I appreciate the discussion that this, it is, you said something very important. Our job is to trust the man whose role is to do his job. And when that's done well, the person in charge has a board that challenges and forces him or her to come back with answers. And I think that's what happened today. So I think that was a great discussion. Our role is always to trust, but challenge, right? And challenge different ways of thinking, different ways to grow, because when we do that, then we'll get better, the village will get better, Craig will get better, and everybody listening will get better, or get sick of us complaining or voicing our opinions. One of those 2 things will happen, or one of those 3 things will happen. So I appreciate the discussion.
Mr. Bishop.
Good.
I have nothing.
Wonderful. I have nothing other than I'm really thankful for the Thursday Riverbank Music Series kicking off and being such a huge success. Wow, the effort that's gone into that is certainly paying off, and it's nice to see movement in that
It's
regard.
amazing. Yep.
It really is amazing, so. And if the general public, the 25 of you that watch this video, if you'd like to volunteer, there's always a seat at the table for you to do that. And with that,
I'll make a motion to adjourn.
Support.
we have a motion with support. All those in favor?
Aye.
All those opposed? Motion carries.